I grew up in an Indian family, and Indian people are obsessed with cinema. So my very first memories about drama are all involved in Bollywood cinema. And my father used to get those early videotapes, and we used to watch all the movies from India on them. And he loved westerns, so I used to watch westerns with my father. So I watched lots of films with my father. Really was my main influence. I think he loved cinema a lot. And then when I went to university, I did a history degree because I was very interested in history. And after I finished at university, I decided while I was at university to become a director. And I chose to train as a theatre director first, because I liked a lot of theatre directors who'd become film directors. People like Arthur Penn, I really liked his films. A lot of the American directors who came out from theatre in the 1940s and 50s were people I really admired. And then in England, we've got a real tradition of theatre directors like Stephen Frears and directors like that who've become film directors. I was very interested in that and working with actors. I love theatre and I love film. They're very different, but they allow different parts of my brain to get a workout, you know. So when I'm writing a theatre play, I have to think very much about how long you can sustain something and how you can engage a live audience. In cinema, I'm always thinking about how a scene's going to cut with the next scene and visually how I'm going to piece the thing together. But I direct I direct film more than I direct theatre. So you know, I love both, but I end up working in cinema more.
Restaurant people all hate each other. Somebody came and did this.
My dad and my uncle haven't spoken to each other for 10 years. They have rival restaurants and they're now trying to put each other out of business.
You have given me the wrong post.
Chandana and Chandanas. Well, that's got a bit confusing.
Not if you can read, you idiot.
The film is about two brothers, two grumpy brothers who were both chefs, and they have an argument. Nobody knows why they have an argument, and they close their restaurant down and they open up two different restaurants across the road from each other. And they even call the restaurants the same name. They're so stubborn. But unfortunately, they have a family recipe book which they tear in half, and one of the brother can only cook starters and one of the brother can only cook main courses, which drives them both mad because they're missing each part of each other's skill. And customers like to eat starters in one and go to the others for main courses. And one of them has a daughter who's getting married, and her dream is that both her father and uncle cook her wedding feast. So it's about trying to reconcile these grumpy Indian brothers who are great chefs.
We've never been to an Indian restaurant together.
Yeah, tell me again, why is that?
Because nowhere's as good as my dad's.
Till I meet your father and taste his food, I really couldn't say, could I?
Feel free to employ the left hand, the hand traditionally used to wipe the arse, then suck from your prospective father-in-law's carefully prepared Hindu feast. Make an Asian out of you yet.
Oi, 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 left hand!
My house, my rules.
Well, I come from a restaurant family. My family owned a restaurant. It's the first restaurant you see in the film is my family's restaurant. So my family opened that restaurant in 1976, and I spent most of my life in that restaurant. In the kitchen, in the restaurant, doing my homework, watching my mother cook, watching my father run the business. Seeing the customers, the big windows at the front. I used to sit there and watch people pass by. So my development in learning about telling stories was a lot of it was in the restaurant. So when it came to come up with an idea, a story, I just looked around me and I looked around the area, and I thought it'd be really fun to have a family comedy where you could have some laughs, but also explore the dynamic in a family, but set in a restaurant. To me, that was very personal. It's a very personal way of telling a story.
My dad is very, very Indian.
In fact, I never trust a man who doesn't enjoy his food.
Cooking's a big part of my life. My wife, I don't know if she's going to watch this. She probably will, and she won't thank me for saying this, or she might. But I do all the cooking at home. She's very good at baking cakes. But I run the kitchen with the food, and I mean she can cook, but I find it very satisfying. To me, it's like directing a movie. You know, you get all your ingredients out, so you're preparing your food like you're prepping a film. You get it all set in place, and then you piece it together, and then the post-production's the cooking bit, you know, and then you serve it out to an audience. It's exactly the same process. In fact, it's the perfect metaphor for making a movie, so maybe that's why I love doing it, you know.
As long as they have an appetite, God has blessed everyone with the potential to be Indian.
I've been to India lots, yes. Yeah. India's, you know, my motherland, so I feel very connected to India. We get different ingredients there sometimes, but you know, I eat my mother's food and I eat my aunt's food, and it's very similar. So I think within families you see the variation, but I'd say it's pretty close, you know. Nothing went to waste. We everything we cooked was so the actors could eat it. So everything tasted beautiful, unless it wasn't supposed to taste beautiful. But as soon as we wrapped a scene, all the crew came in and, you know, finished it off, or we kept it in the fridge till later, and everything got eaten because it was really, really good. I admired some of the actors for a long time, and my casting director, who I've worked with for a long time, really what we do is we talk about the feel of the film, the atmosphere we want, and what kind of people we need, and what kind of how the chemistry works between people. Because obviously the brothers, it was very, very important they had the right chemistry, and we just felt Kulvinder and Harish would be just sparky with each other. We wanted two people who you could put in a room and they'd look like proper people who could probably have a fight. So it was a very enjoyable process, but it wasn't difficult casting. We knew some very good actors, and we cast them. They wanted to do the film. I shot the film widescreen, 235, because I wanted the film to look very cinematic. I didn't want it to feel like a TV film. My director of photography is one of the world's greatest directors of photography, Roger Pratt. So Roger shot 2 Harry Potters, Brazil, Troy. The End of the Affair he was Oscar nominated for. So he's one of the world's great cinematographers, and we just wanted to make sure that the food, he shot Chocolat as well, great food movie. So we wanted to make sure the food looked good enough to taste, and we wanted to make sure that the aspect ratio, the width in the screen, meant that we could have the brothers on screen but have some distance between them. But I wanted it to be colourful, I wanted it to be vibrant, I wanted it to feel nostalgic, romantic. I wanted it to feel like an old style movie in some ways, and I think we did that. No, I storyboard complex sequences sometimes. I've done that before, but for this film, I didn't need to do that. I mean, I shot list everything, but storyboarding for this wasn't something I needed to do. I've only ever shot on film. All my films have been shot on film until the last film I've just made after Jadoo was made on digital on the Alexa. But my experience has only been on film negative.
I've got something a little different to show you.
You must be joking. That's a wedding outfit.
Think your dad will see the funny side?
What do you think, Dad?
Can never have too much ammo, people.
I was told that you have your own restaurants now. You used to have one together, Jadoo. It seems such a shame. And I was just wondering why.
Well, weddings are really expensive. And it's where you decide to spend your money on a film. We could have done the wedding, but then you lose something else in the film. And I thought we've seen those Indian weddings, so we did them in stills. But yes, it's sometimes you have to make compromises like this. One day I'll shoot the wedding and I'll stick it on the end, or I'll do an anniversary party with the 2 guys. 20 years later, they're still together. Maybe I'll do that.
Every now and then, I am sprinkled with my family's culinary genius.
I worked very closely with the composer. Well, I mean closely in terms of I told him the feel I wanted, but I had one of the great composers. You know, I had Stephen Warbeck, who won the Oscar for Shakespeare in Love, do the score for the film. There's only so much you need to tell Stephen Warbeck what to do with a score, and he proposed ideas to me and played bits of music to me, and they were all fantastic. So then it comes down to working out where you do or don't need the music. But you know, when you hire a great composer, you get great music. So it's something you can rest at night when you've got someone like Stephen. I've just finished a new film called One Crazy Thing, which is just, I mean, I've just finished the cut last week, so that'll be ready for later in the year. And I am working on a period film at the moment, which I think I'll probably shoot in 6 months, which is a adaptation of a Virginia Woolf novel.